So welcome everybody to our Zoom meeting today, the 28th of April, the last meeting this month. It's going to be a really exciting and interesting meeting because, as you've just seen, we've got Olivia Orezzolo with us, who's the sleep expert, and I can't wait to hear all the things that she's prepared for us. She's worked very hard to do something for us, and she's even got a special offer at the end, so be ready for that. We've also got a few little surprises. I've got my son who's going to be participating, Stephen Laurent. He's a clinical psychologist, and he's just going to talk to us a little bit about a questionnaire that I'm going to be uploading called the DAS. It's basically measures the health of your state of your mind. So that's a really interesting little thing, little exercise to do. And maybe next week we'll have him talk about those results that you can do on this test. Steve, you've sent me the DAS report. Can you just give me it's a short questionnaire of 21 questions. Can you give me a little brief on that? Are you there? I'll just unmute you. Can you?
Yeah, sure. One sec.
Yes, there you go. There he is.
Hear me? Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. I recognize most of these faces. Yeah, look, Dad asked if I'd give a talk, and before I just chose my own theme, because there's 101 things I could talk about, I thought I'd get a feel for, you know, what kind of problems people are having. And this is a very basic little questionnaire just to get a kind of state of the nation, how you've been over the last week or so, and we can norm it, so give you a kind of percentile relative to the population, just for a few things: depression, anxiety, and stress. It's not diagnostic, but it'll just give us a sense of how people are going. And if it comes back all, you know, smelling of roses, then I can give a talk on something a little bit more luxurious. But if there's a problem that seems to be recurring, then I can maybe address that more specifically. So send that out for you to answer at home. It should only take a few minutes. And, you know, Dad and I can then score it up and let you know at a later date.
That's great. That would be great, Steve. Thank you so much. So I'll be posting that that DAS questionnaire. It's really simple. There's only 21 questions, and you just write. It's either 0, 1, 2, or 3. So it's you just answer the question by encircling, and then you can send me your report, your answers, and I'll discuss it with Steve, and then we'll pinpoint where his talk is going to be about. Okay. Okay. Well, now our special guest, Olivia, is. I just want to quickly tell you that Olivia is really a sleep expert, and sleep is definitely. I know, Steve, you've always been a high recommender of when you see a client. Sleep has always been like one of the foremost things that you talk about, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge component to mental health.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got Olivia, who's an expert on sleep, and she has a Bachelor of Social Science in Psychology. She's got a certificate of sleep psychology. She has a diploma of health science in nutrition medicine, and she has also a certificate of fitness. So she comes with a lot of experience and knowledge. So welcome, Olivia. We can't wait to listen to you. I'll hand over to you now. So I'll just...
Warm. Oh. I'm unmuted. Fantastic. Thank you so much for the warm introduction and for having me today. This is beautiful to be sharing the wisdom and advice that I have. But before I get started, I just wanted to ask Stephen, why do you recommend, and why do you believe that sleep is so important for mental health? I'd like to get your perspective, you know, as a clinical psych.
I think the science is pretty crystal clear that that sleep deprivation contributes to almost any mental health disorder or issue you can think of.
Yeah.
I think the way I explain it to clients is that, if you haven't slept well, you have, in a sense, a double whammy, because it's as though a layer of skin has been removed. You're more sensitive. Then also your capacity to deal with problems as they arise, to think your way out of it, to problem solve, is reduced.
Yes.
So you're both more susceptible and less capable.
Yeah.
Terrible combination.
It's a disaster.
You need when the going's tough, or even when, the going is humdrum. No, it's huge. It's huge. And honestly, it's one of the first things that I'll cover with people before digging much deeper. And often, improving sleep is half the problem fixed.
So for somebody who isn't necessarily struggling with sleep, but they might be highly anxious or finding themselves, particularly flat and depressed, do you feel that having a, sleep optimization strategy could be their first step forward? And actually, as a result of improving their sleep, they'll find that their associated mental health conditions like anxiety, like depression, will somewhat resolve themselves. Would you feel like that would be?
Well, if they're not struggling with their sleep, if in the assessment, so I'd assess how we going, how we sleeping. If they go, I'm sleeping really well, actually, then no, I'd move on.
Yeah, absolutely. But if they are sleeping not so well.
If they're not sleeping well, then let's start with that, among other things.
Right.
Because, that could be half the problem. If they're getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night on average, then I'm actually not that interested in their childhood or their relationships or their deep and meaningful innermost thoughts. Tell me that later. Let's get you some sleep.
Yeah, amazing.
Because who knows? Maybe you're just really tired. Because the symptoms of sleep deprivation actually imitate, they echo those of depression a lot of the time.
Yes, exactly right.
So, why complicate things? Let's start with that. If, on the other hand, they're getting, say, 7, and they tell me that that's pretty much what they would have gotten anyway, it's whether I think I could add a little bit there, maybe it's diminishing returns at that point. But, certainly it'd be among the first things I'd ask about.
That's so valuable and great to hear, like as a sleep expert, knowing the science of the brain, knowing, exactly as you say. So essentially, I think a lot of the guests here are probably familiar with cortisol, the stress hormone. And so when you're sleep deprived, you're only after one night of lack of sleep, you have an increase of about 37% of cortisol. And so what this does is, exactly as you say, it reduces your brain's ability to use its frontal lobe, which has the responsibilities of concentration, judgment, decision-making, and rationality. So exactly as you're saying, you're not able to think clearly. And also, if something does stress you out, because you have that higher level of cortisol in your body, you're more reactive. A small problem will become a really large problem, and essentially you struggle to return to your sense of calm normality.
Yeah. Sorry, were you waiting for a response?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Great. Awesome.
A layer of skin has been stripped off.
Exactly.
We all know this intuitively. That sleep deprivation is a form of torture. I mean,
yeah.
What people I think are not, in my experience, widely enough aware of is that 6 hours is not enough.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And that spending the first half of your day yawning and foggy and drinking coffee is not normal.
No.
Just for some people, they're so used to it, it becomes like the smell of napalm in the morning.
Absolutely.
that they barely notice anymore.
Yeah.
I'm often there trying to tell people, no, that's not normal. That's not good enough. I'm not saying you should leap out of bed, but certainly within, say, 30, 40 minutes of rising, you should be good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a way that we can survey everyone here? And I just want to get just like a response. If you're struggling to fall asleep, if you're struggling to stay asleep, or if you're waking up feeling really fatigued and foggy, maybe in the chat box, could we just get like a yes, like a why? Would that be possible, Frank?
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Does everybody know where the chat box is? So you just scroll down to the bottom of your screen, and then you'll see a menu pop up, and you'll see that.
So for anyone who is struggling to either fall asleep, stay asleep, or waking up unrefreshed and foggy, just give us a why.
Yes.
Like letter Y, like write for yes.
Okay. I'll say yes. I'm a yes.
Happen.
I need to.
Got a few responses. Wow. This is amazing. So if everyone who's responded right now is saying yes, which is quite on track though, because studies show that 77% of individuals do not get sufficient sleep. So, that's 8 out of 10. If there's 27 of us, that's not very good at maths, but that would be more than 16. Okay, cool. Then I'm really glad to be here because it sounds like you guys need some advice and support. And I think, Frank, did you want to start with the questions that you have been submitted? I can answer them, or do you want me to go through what I would recommend?
Maybe go through what you recommend, then we can start firing out questions for you.
Okay, cool. So I guess the most important thing in improving sleep, and that means being able to wake up more refreshed, being able to wake up more mentally clear, and being able to stay asleep and fall asleep in the evening, is to have a relaxing bedtime routine. For this reason, I've created a signature 7-step bedtime routine, which if you've been receiving my emails, you will have seen some of the tips and tricks. And so essentially why it's so important to have this routine is because during the day, your brain is in a very highly active state, which essentially is fueled by stress, fueled by caffeine, and fueled by sugar. Now, the higher your stress levels, the higher your intake of caffeine, and the higher your sugar, the more active and hyperactive your brain will be. And also another primary factor in stimulating your brain is light. And so when I say light, I mean, light from the sun, but also light from devices. If you're on your phone, if you're watching TV, if you're on a laptop, this is very highly stimulating for the brain and keeps your brain in a very active state. Now, in order to fall asleep, your brain needs to be in a calm state. So unless you have a specific routine which enables your brain to move from this very highly active state into a slower, calmer state, then you'll experience an inability to fall asleep. You'll have frequent nighttime wakings, and you'll stay in a shallow sleep, which means that in the morning, you'll feel unrefreshed and foggy. Now, does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah. Sure.
Awesome. So specifically what is in this routine is there's 7 steps to reduce your stimulation via physiology. So this is like by your physical body. So starting with step 1 of blocking out light. So I recommend using a red night light or having blue light blocking glasses. So few people have heard of this, I'm guessing, because it's quite well reported, I guess. And so light is the primary factor to dictate your circadian rhythm, which means essentially how much light is entering your eyes will dictate how tired you are or how sleepy you are. So this is the reason I put it as step one, because if you're going to do literally nothing else, do step one because it is the most powerful. Step two is to diffuse lavender. So lavender has been found in clinical trials to reduce anxiety by 46%. And in this clinical trial, it was actually akin to the anxiety reduction of 46% caused by sleeping pills. So a lot of people experience anxiety. So this is why it's number two, because again, it's so powerful. And if you're just going to do one or two, do these first two. Number three is have a good night phone alarm. This is the time that you get off your phone. The reason why you want to have an alarm rather than just hope you'll get off your phone is because phones have addictive properties, just like sugar, just like caffeine, just like drugs. So relying on like willpower alone is not really that helpful. Set an alarm and label it sleep better. Step four is to jump in the shower. Just like reducing exposure to light, showering enhances your production of melatonin, the sleepiness hormone. Step five is to have a sleep supplement. Look for one with magnesium and or tart cherry. Step six is to listen to white noise. Now, white noise is like a fan or an air conditioner and has been found to reduce the time it takes to fall asleep by 38%. And step seven, the last step, is to listen to the white noise and practice deep breathing for 10 minutes. Now that might seem quite overwhelming to think that I have to do them all. But for this reason, as Frank mentioned, I've created a 7-day challenge. And so for anyone who is wanting to improve their sleep and to actually implement these steps and have support to do it, I'm providing a week of coaching call and daily support, because essentially once you're in the habit, you will be able to maintain it. It's just actually starting, which is the most challenging part. And also a lot of people say, oh, I've tried magnesium, or I've tried, lavender. Yes, but you probably haven't tried all 7 of those steps together. And that's the key. It's like saying, oh, I had a green juice for lunch, but so why aren't I like super healthy? Well, you've got to have a green juice plus a salad plus, lots of water. So it's the key to do them all together, but also know that, I'm offering like a support system to ensure that you can implement that. We had a question.
Steve, do you have any questions? Okay.
I thought your note said to listen to pink noise. Yeah. Pink or white noise? Yes.
It's either one or the other. It's the same.
Yeah, they're both hugely effective. So
rain,
whichever you prefer.
Like the rain, for example.
Yeah. So pink noise is more like rain sounds. White noise is like an aircon.
Yeah. How much sleep do you recommend that we have, or is that just depending on the individual?
7 to 9 hours.
7 to 9.
Yeah, 95% of the population needs 7 to 9. You might be in the 5% that needs more or less, but chances are it's 7 to 9.
I think we were saying, Steve, with Federer, the great tennis player, he has at least 9 hours, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when he's playing a tournament, it's often 10 or 11.
Yes.
Yeah, he's unusual.
With sleep ensures muscle recovery. He needs to be repairing his muscles every day, so he's 100% good to go energetically. Also on a psychological level, sleep ensures the production of happiness hormones like dopamine and serotonin. So if he doesn't have enough sleep, he's not going to be motivated. A recent study that I was involved in found that 52% of people, when they're lacking sleep, are not motivated. Like, this is relevant for athletes, but also, like, think about your days. Think about those days that you're just super exhausted and super flat, and you just don't feel like doing anything at all, and you just want to lay in bed. And to know that you can mediate that simply by having sufficient sleep is so powerful. We often think we need to do all of these, I've got to change this, I've got to change this, I've got to change this. Actually, just get better sleep. Like, that's number one. Once you're doing that, then, you can move on to the next things, but sleep is fundamental, as Stephen, you recommended. So
yeah, in the hierarchy of needs, it's right down near the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right up there with drinking water and eating food.
Water.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There's a question from Anna. Olivia, can you see it?
What about hormonal balance and sleep? Is this steps need to be implemented? I don't really know what you mean. Is this steps need to be implemented?
Do you still need to the same steps when you're hormonally imbalanced?
Oh, yeah. Yes, you do. So, what I'm speaking about in terms of reducing your stimulation via physiology, translated to how that impacts in terms of hormonal imbalance. So all of these steps reduce your levels of cortisol, which is the primary reason of hormonal imbalance. And so if you are finding yourself, with symptoms of hormonal imbalance, then definitely these steps will support you in that process. But at the same time, I guess that would be, I'd need to know specifically what hormones are imbalanced and what other mechanisms you're using to, mediate that.
Can you tell us what happens to the body while we sleep?
Yeah, as I've been chatting with Stephen, as I've mentioned, cortisol levels, so stress hormone, the hormone to make you anxious, that goes down while you sleep. So this allows you to wake up and feel calm and refreshed. Your neurotransmitters, dopamine and serotonin, the hormones to make you happy, they regenerate. So if you think about like a Jack in the Box, like when you sleep, so when you're awake, your hormones, they're out and about, and then eventually throughout the day, they become flat. And so when you sleep, you essentially put a lid on that. And so when you wake, those hormones can allow you to be energetic again, right? If you don't have that reset, recharge period, then you'll continue to wake up and feel flat and fatigued, just like you did at the end of the previous night. Now, I know that anyone who has sleep deprivation has noticed this. They feel flat, exhausted, can't be bothered. Even I slept horribly the other night, and I just felt like I was so cloudy in my head. It was horrible. Note to all, do not drink 4 cups of chamomile tea before bed. It does not reduce. It does not improve sleep.
Unless you want to go to the toilet.
That's when I woke up. I woke up 5 times to use the bathroom. I was just like, oh. Yes. Yeah. So, I guess, how is sleep valuable to the body? For stress reduction, for anxiety reduction, for happiness, and then for physiological recovery. And, speaking of, at the start, we were speaking about the importance of sleep for collagen. So growth hormone, 70% of it is produced during deep sleep, and growth hormone is critical for collagen production. So if your clients or if you're not sleeping enough, your body cannot produce 70% of its collagen that it could otherwise produce. So this is why when you wake up, your skin is often blotchy, or it feels like it hasn't healed. It literally is called beauty sleep for a very good reason.
Naomi says, what is your advice on how to manage sleep when you've been given bad news?
When you're given bad news, as this type of stresses get my mind thinking answer. Sure. So there's a technique I like to call mind dump. Literally grabbing a journal and writing out all of those stresses. But also know that all of the steps that I just recommended, they help your body relax on a physiological level, which can also improve your psychological stresses. So, you know, the effects of like when you have a glass of wine. Now, I think everyone is familiar with this, you know, you feel more relaxed and all of this. That's not taking away that's not solving your mental stresses, but yet your body feels more calm. So the steps that I recommend, like blocking out blue light, like having lavender, work on this kind of level. I'm not, I guess, providing a solution to those mental stresses, but by using physiology, you can overtake them for the sake of sleep.
And I'd like to add, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, just that if this is a problem that arises for a lot of you, worry and rumination, then it's something I can address when I do speak with you. And so we can supplement all that great sleep advice and physiological relaxation with some techniques for worrying less, managing worry.
Definitely.
Olivia, well, you know, at the very beginning, I talked about, I asked the beauty therapist to do a little video about their whys. Why did they become therapists? Could you share with us, why did you become a sleep expert?
Yeah, sure. So when I was 15 to about 17, I went through major depression. And this included, hospitalization, like in an inpatient unit, and then 3 months in an outpatient unit. So I was extremely unwell. And after that experience, I had, so much support from my therapist, from my whole team, that I knew that I wanted to take people through that same experience, because I remember how hard it was to like literally just wake up and get out of bed and just function, and it was awful. And then now over that process, I moved into a space where I was able to be happy again and, be social and love my life again. And knowing how bad it was versus how good it was, I knew that deep down that was my purpose in life, to have other people experience that. And so this is why I did all my degrees. First I studied psychology, and then fitness, and then nutrition, because I felt like all of those components were so important to feeling our best. And then I started doing wellness coaching for, a range of different modalities, like motivation, stress, and then some sleep clients. And my sleep clients were getting really great results in a really short period of time, like less than 7 days. And so I started to speak with other people about it, and I realized that everyone was struggling and no one was doing anything about it. And for me, it's very easy to fix, because I understand the mechanisms of why you're not sleeping properly, because I have an understanding of nutrition, fitness, and psychology. And so knowing how radically I could change sleep, and then knowing the impact that this has upon not just sleep, but as we were saying before, anxiety, happiness, and energy, motivation, mental clarity, I realized that if I wanted to help people feel their best inside and out, which has always been my mission, then I would use sleep to get there, because that's what they were wanting. And scientifically, that would help them the most in the most straightforward way.
Sleep is kind of overlooked. It has not, maybe less now, but 10 years ago, if we go back 10, 20 years ago, we didn't consider sleep as something really vital.
Yes, exactly.
In fact, we bragged about it, that we only slept.
No sleep. I know, right? It's terrible.
No,
I don't think anyone's doing that anymore. Yeah.
I remember, Steve, once you went to a sleep, where they wired you up all night.
Study.
That was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone should do it once, I think.
Yeah.
Just to find out once and for all, how you sleep.
What happened? What did they
spend a night in a sleep lab, and they put all sorts of electrodes on you and to measure your heart rate and your breathing and various other things during the night. And they give you a complete analysis and can identify any problems and how deeply you sleep and whether you're getting too much REM, not enough. And it was really interesting, actually. And not too costly. They do it up in Glebe. That's where I got it done. Yeah, it's really useful.
Did you do it, Olivia? Have you gone through a sleep night?
So I actually haven't, and to be honest, it's actually not.
You don't need it.
That's not as important, because I feel like those sleep studies, they just tell you, do you have a clinical diagnosis of insomnia or not?
Yeah.
If you're having a sleep study, chances are you're feeling pretty fatigued, and so regardless of if it tells you that you have a problem or not, you need help. Yeah. And I think that people can often become, caught in the numbers and forget that, the more important thing is to be taking action to improve it, rather than looking at, am I clinically diagnosed with this? It's more important to take action today, right now.
Absolutely.
They can help diagnose sleep apnea as well.
Yes, they can.
Mm.
I know that you have to get going, so just very quickly, Olivia, how can we connect with your 7-day challenge? Post on our group for the details for that? Yeah,
absolutely. So after this, I can share on the Facebook group the program PDF. And I guess I want everyone to know that it also comes with a 100% money back guarantee. So I know that, anytime you're trying something new, you often second guess it, but knowing that you've got essentially like no risk is key. And, if you are, so many of us mentioned before that we're struggling to fall asleep and stay asleep. So if this is you, then rather than just sitting with I'm struggling, do something about it. There's a program, there's a strategy in place, there's an expert who can support you. So let's see you get better, and let's, just like every single one of my other clients, in 7 days or less, you're going to see yourself sleeping better and stressing less. So this is why I've designed this 7-day challenge, and also offered that money back guarantee. So I'll leave all of the details in the Facebook group. And, for the first 10 people who take it up, I'm offering a significant discount as well. So it's usually $2.99, but I'm offering it for $99, just because, if you're the first 10, then I like to offer that extra bit of thank you my end. And yeah, I guess that would be the best place to connect with me, from that program PDF in the group.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Olivia. I just got one last note here from Deborah, who said that she got herself a really good pillow.
Great.
Really important. Anything about pillows that you can recommend? Yeah.
So having the correct pillow is super important, because it helps align your spine and reduces tossing and turning. And although you might not be waking up through the night, even if you're just having light sleep, which is when you're waking up feeling fatigued, that can be from your pillow. So if you are sleeping on an uncomfortable pillow, there are, this will be limiting your sleep, and this will be contributing to those feelings of fatigue in the morning. So, having a sleep sanctuary, as I call it, is vital. And, your sleep isn't something to discount. It's like, how much do you value feeling energetic? How much do you value feeling focused? How much do you value feeling calm rather than anxious? So I think when we start to ask ourselves these questions, then, any investment that we have to make to improve our sleep becomes unquestionable, because we know that we want to feel energetic, and we know that we want to be calm, and we know we want to feel focused. So it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely, I agree. Thank you very much.
Happily, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
It's been great to have you. Really great. Thank you. You take care.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to say that next week we have got Sharon Holland, who's going to talk to us. She's a naturopath, and she's going to talk to us a lot about the connections between stress and the skin, hormones and the skin. So the imbalances that create different skin conditions, and that will be really interesting. She's a beautiful, lovely lady, and she has a wealth of knowledge. So this will be great to listen to, and maybe you can use some of her knowledge with your clients and share that with them. I just want to also thank again Naomi for your great presentation last week. We all thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been doing my yoga nidra, and as you can see, I've got a lot more energy. And I think everybody's really loved it. So thank you very much for sharing that. And,
pleasure.
I just wanted to add, if anyone's interested, this is the book I generally recommend about sleep. Is it reversed? Why We Sleep.
Yeah, Why We Sleep, we saw it.
By Matthew Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested, that's the one I'd recommend that they have a read of.
Yeah, and look, it really does seem really central to everything that we do in life. A good night's sleep, the day starts with a good night's sleep, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's great. And I know you're a big fan of siesta, of a little nap. Like a 20-minute nap.
Yeah, I think it's, I'm surprised she didn't mention that. No, I think naps are huge. I think their whole culture is built around siestas for a reason. I think that's the natural sleep cycle of a human being, is to sleep 7 or 8 hours at night, and then to have a nap in the day, and during the hottest part of the day, where prehistorically we couldn't really do much of any use.
Yeah, that's right.
I think people are just pushing through it with caffeine and sheer willpower. But
yeah,
can find a way to get a cat nap.
Yeah, and I know that, like, when you have a little 15-minute nap, then you're a completely new person afterwards.
Transformation. Night and day.
So try that out too if you want to have a little. If you can afford to do a 15-minute nap during the.
Italians know all about it.
You get really tired if you have a big lunch, don't you? Like after lunch, it's sort of
or it could just be that it's that time of the day after lunch. That's when you should be having your siesta.
Yes, that's in the afternoon. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, see you guys. I got to run.
Okay,
Bye.
see you guys. See you, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.